Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dan Nguyen, and I want to share with you guys a sample franchise disclosure document. So, someone came to me, and they bought a franchise, but it's not doing so. At least they thought they bought a franchise. And so, one of the things that franchisors have to do is present a document and have to wait a certain amount of days before money can change hands. But a lot of times, a lot of these companies are offering to sell you concepts, use of a name. They collect royalties. They'll help you with marketing. Um, if that's the case, they are selling you a franchise for the most part, and you'll need to know that franchises, at least in California and in some other states, they have to be registered with the state, and if not, if they're in some other states like Arizona, Oregon, they have to comply with Federal Trade Commission laws. So there's both federal and state guidelines franchisors have to deal with, regardless of what state they might be in. So I just want to share with you guys what a franchise disclosure document might look like. And this is straight from the Federal Trade Commission. This is a sample. So on the first page, there's the cover sheet, the name, and a really short summary about the business itself and how much it might cost to start the business, and how much of that is what's called a franchise fee going directly to the franchisor. Okay, that's this page. And second page, they'll have a table of contents, and there are 23 called items. Items are kind of different sections of the franchise disclosure document, and that they must disclose to you. Okay. And there's also exhibits like franchise agreements. There's a separate agreement, and then sometimes there's lease and non-compete. So exhibits can vary among franchisors, but this is a sample, so you kind of know what it looks like. Okay, so the item one is like background information about the franchisor. Is there any parents? Is there any other business that they're running? Um, here, if they're owned by another company, or if they have any prior company that have been running a similar business. Um, uh, so you remember, if you have something like this, look at it. See, there's item 1 through 20, 20, 21 or 22 or 23, right? So this is a sample what it looks like. Then they have to disclose their business experience from of all the officers, so you get an idea who's running the show over there. Also, they need to disclose any litigation that's been a part of the business. Okay, so that you know if they've been sued or they need to sue. Okay, so I'm just going to go this real quick. Right, again, litigation here. Bankruptcies, they've had a file. Um, Item 5 is an initial fee, so like upfront, how much it's going to cost you, and in one of the tables, you're going to know how much it costs to run a store with 3 months, 3 months, 3 months in the pool to operate the business, right? So initial fees, how much upfront fees they're going to cost, including the franchise fee, construction fees. So here's table 6. What other fees, royalties, how much it is. This one's 4%. When is it payable? And some notes. If there's any co-op fees, any additional trainings that is required if the company has to audit you. Okay. Estimated initial investment. All right, this is just estimate. All right, because building a store in maybe San Francisco will cost less than in the middle of nowhere, and so each place will be a little bit different. These are just estimates, but they should have a table for you, so you know how much it would be. Right, initial franchise fee. Here it is. Travel and living expenses, real estate improvements, signs, opening inventory, right, additional funds. So here's our you're gonna need this fund as kind of a reserve, so you can operate your room, because they're gonna make the assumption you gotta pay your employees, and obviously it'll be slow to start, and so this is kind of estimated reserves here. Okay, they're gonna have required restrictions on product, like you can't just sell anything in your business. They're gonna want uniformity across the systems. Okay, so there's another item, item 8. What are you required to purchase? You're only required, you can only use approved suppliers. If you want to use your own supplier, they have to be approved, and then they do have to disclose what revenue the franchise Zors get from those particular purchases. kind of proprietary products, so to speak. And any co-ops, negotiate price, and any material benefits they receive. So these are the obligations under the franchise agreement, right? So this kind of breaks down like, hey, what do I get for, let's say, my trademarks? All right, so let's look here, Section 11 and Section 7 of the franchise agreement. So you can refer there. I also refer to the franchise disclosure document. Okay, what insurance do I need to carry, right? So you just look here. So this is kind of a quick reference of what the obligations, your obligations are as a franchisee under the agreement, right? So item 10, if the company provides any financing, if you don't have the cash up front, some companies will provide financing and what interest rate. Okay, so here's just the table, a little small here, but the idea is so you get an idea of what it is. Right. The assistants and computer systems and what the training is like, right? So what will they provide pre-opening, right? Do you have to travel to them? Do they travel to you for opening? What continued assistance you get once you open the store, and optional assistance that you need more help, and how can you get more help, right? Here's some of the advertising requirements and computer systems. So like a lot of the retail stores will use POS systems. A part of it is you might have to purchase a POS from an approved supplier, or you have to use one particular POS. And a lot of franchisors are requiring, obviously, computerized POS, but part of it is so that they can toll. You want to make sure you're reporting all of your gross income, gross receipts accurately, and so they're able to toll or access your system so they can check and calculate franchise fees and royalty fees. Right, operating manual is, they'll disclose to you what the operating manual is, and what's basically how to run the store here. Sample 11, yeah, we already went through 11 here. This is what it might look like. Okay. So also disclose the training program, right? How many hours on the job and classroom, and what location would it be, right? So it looks like this place is like administration, like Jackson, Minnesota might be the franchisor's home location, home offices. You do this training there, and the store opening assistance is at your location. Okay, so a little bit more. They'll tell you a little bit more about the training system here. What territory you get, where you buy in, and so it's like sometimes you might not give it an exclusive territory. Okay. Trademarks, this is really important. What names and logos you can use, whether they use it, and what the registration number is, or what the serial number is if they're not registered yet, and they have an application, and any other proprietary information in item 14 is listed in here as well. All right. Item 15, you're obligated to participate in the franchise in the business. So a lot of franchisors want owner-operators, like they want you to be invested into the business, not monetarily wise, but your time. I think most of them find that those types of business owners care a little bit more about their business rather than just some investor, and here's money, and can you just operate it for me? And so you do. Most of them will require you to participate in the business. Item 16, what restrictions what the franchisees might sell. So this is pretty common. A lot of franchisors don't want you to sell like other stuff because it doesn't make the system uniform, and so why is one store selling this product but other stores not? Right? They don't want those types of situations, and so there are restrictions on what you can sell outside of the agreed or outside of the approved products and services. So here's another. This is renewal, termination, transfer, dispute resolution. So all those kind of provisions you can refer to in the summary and in the franchise agreement. Okay, so what about renewals or extensions? All right, you look at section 20, and this is basically the summary. If you're good standing, and then you can get another 10 years. Okay, so what about transfers, right? So contract assets or ownership. So sometimes you got to sell it, and sometimes if you do have to sell, there's a fee involved. Okay, so this is a box or a section where you can refer to it very quickly. Our public affairs is like use anyone famous to promote it. Then we put that here. Okay, so all right. So I'm gonna Ralph Doster. All right, so that would financial performance representation. So this is very important right here. So some newer franchisors don't do this just because they don't have the numbers. Some of them do. So this is basically the numbers behind the existing stores. All right, so they do have to provide. They don't have to. So they will disclose you here right here. If they don't, then this is some of the language they have. But some some of them, some franchises do provide them as a matter of sales, like it's better for sales, and so, right. So obviously, the numbers can be fudged, they can be misrepresented, and so that information, if they provide it, would be right here. Store performance. This is some of the background for the franchisors. What would it be like? There's a kind of a uniform way to to provide this information, so that you're kind of like not cherry picking the numbers and just only showing good numbers. Okay. And then it has to be like reasonable request for the information. Financial representation, talk about that. First projections, outlet and franchise information. So, how many have more information about the outlets existing and franchisees that they have. And item 20 is all the tables, right? So how many franchise, how many company owned, how many total outlets over the last 30 fiscal years. So any transfers to new owners. What are the status of franchise outlets for the last 3 fiscal years, and company-owned outlets for the last 3 fiscal years, and let's see, projected openings for for the next year. Oh, as of the end of last fiscal year. So there's some form of franchisee contact information, and so previous owner information. So I want to share this with you guys. There's any confidentiality agreements that any of them have had to sign, because sometimes as a buyer you want to talk to some of the other ones, some of the other franchisees, and sometimes they can't disclose maybe what settlements they've gone into. So the fact that they've entered into a confidential confidential agreement has to be disclosed kind of right here. Okay, and you can make your own decision. Any franchisees associations are here. And so, I want to share with you guys the big thing. Also, financial statements audited financial statements are attached, and any contracts attached. So that's 22 items. Yeah, 22 items, 23 items, or receipts. All right. So again, for the most part, it's 14 days before money can exchange hands. So there's a cooling off period, so you as a buyer can do your own due diligence. Okay. So I want you to, if you're buying one, make sure there's one document that says, hey, item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. If it doesn't, you're not really buying into a system that complies with federal franchise laws, and you should look at this a little bit more carefully. So, yeah, this is Dan. Just wanted to share with you guys some information about buying a franchise. Certainly, this is a big investment into a business, and we recommend that you talk to some professionals about buying a unit and see if it's right for you. All right, this is Dan, and thanks for chiming in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.